Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello from Vilnius, Lithuania, doing the Venture Outfitter Weekly from Vilnius, and real excited to be here with you today. Well, let me go ahead and just kick off the presentation. We're going to go through a few slides, and we have a special guest, a couple of different special guests we're going to hear from today. Live from Lithuania. This is my third time in Lithuania. Real exciting time to be here again. I was here twice in 2018, and I'm really happy to be back. But today is, this is the Venture Outfitter Weekly. During the Venture Outfitter Weekly, a lot of what we're doing is connecting entrepreneurs from around the world with each other to support their ventures back and forth. A lot of what the talk about today will be supporting entrepreneurs between Lithuania and the United States, but I've got stories to tell you about Norway to the United States to Lithuania to Sweden, and back and forth. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. The whole idea about this program is to support connections across the world that's then support entrepreneurs that are driving businesses that really matter. I want to say thank you back to the sponsor of our studio back in Austin, Texas. DuoWorks is a co-working place that caters to entrepreneurs from around the world. There is co-working, closed door offices. But the other thing that's really great is Linda Blackman and her team will really cater to if you need just a mailbox because you need a physical point of presence in Austin or in the United States. They do that. They do that for a number of our members. And then also they have all, because Linda's been involved in TechRanch for a very long time. Uh-oh, just about to start coughing. Just a second. If you need something like that, Linda's got special deals that she does for tech ranchers because she was involved in one of our programs more than a decade ago and really caters to your needs. So part of what we are coming off of is if you came to Austin during South by Southwest or you were there for other activities and stuff like that, there's a whole different full list of activities. We still haven't even gotten to all the follow-up we're going to be doing. If you hadn't got that, but you're looking for something specific, or if, especially if it was me, right? If I had I failed to follow up with you about some activities, send us an email at start@techranch.com. And then not just myself, but my team will actually support us getting back to you. And then there's going to be a lot of other follow-on activities that happen that are going to be happening around this set of issues, mainly just because there's so much. I ended up speaking twice a day for 8 days in total in South by, just to come all the way to Vilnius. And today I spoke, yesterday I met with a number of different people, but today I spoke with, I spoke, 3 times? So this is my 4th time. So there's some serious follow-up to do, but let us know. And there was a whole series of programs that we did this last week or over the last few weeks since February 16th. There's a lot of content like why do business in Austin? What makes Austin special? If you're looking at entering a different market around the world or around the US, why consider Austin? The February 23rd was how to explore the US market before you enter. A lot of times we'll have foreign-born entrepreneurs that just sort of land in a certain city, whether it's Silicon Valley or Austin. And the problem with that is there's a lot of mistakes that you can make at a very high cost when you're doing that. So that content's still available. March 2nd was Happy Birthday, Texas, doing business in the Lone Star State. And we had the former Secretary of State of Texas speak. That content, again, is still available. March 9th, suggested itineraries for Austin. Marissa came and talked to us about how to take advantage of South by Southwest. So if you missed a bunch of stuff in South by Southwest and you kind of want to go look backwards and figure out, okay, how do I figure out what content you might be looking for, the context you might look for? Marissa Vickers is really the expert about that. We had her on March 9th, and that content's still available. March 16th was like, okay, all this stuff just happened in South by. How do I follow up about all of it? That content would be great. And today, March 23rd, we're in Lithuania. So we'll tell you a little bit more about what's happening here. And coming soon, I shouldn't have had so many nuts. We'll talk on creativity. Christia Hoffman, who is the TechRanch Poet of Note She actually has been a long-term Tech Ranch entrepreneur, but she's going to be talking about creativity. The April 27th is the North American supply chain. There's a lot of activity on realigning supply chains in North America. In fact, I think we're going to see some of that even coming from Lithuania into some of the supply chains in North America based on some of the connections that happened here. That'll be on the 27th. So go ahead and get our guest. But if you're looking for support programs for the U.S. market, we do have a number of different programs, one of them called Venture Forth, another one called the Venture Outfitter. We have a coaching program for entrepreneurs that to land into this. Our premier program is called Venture Pioneer, and just let us know about it. April 12th, we're going to have a special group that's going to launch as a cohort. We'll kick that off from there. So today's program is live from Lithuania, and I'm going to go over a handful of different slides and then bring our guest on really quick. One of the really cool things about this trip is the last two times I was here, we got to do some activities with the government, but this time we actually, I got to go to the presidential palace, essentially the White House, the local White House, and interact with the office of the president is taking a very special focus on entrepreneurship in this country. And it's real exciting to see. It makes me jealous as an American to see how, I think there's some really positive things that are happening with government here that I kind of like. I wish our home government got involved in supporting entrepreneurs in the same way, but really interesting conversations happening. I have a partner in crime that came with me. Cami Topoma was with me. She happens to be life partner, but also she's an expert at bioscience and life sciences. And one of the other things we got to do on the right is when you see a lot about how companies build out their areas, there's one company that is a unicorn here, has their own bar. It was quite the amenity. It's, so much for Google having the Google cafeteria. It's really cool to see a bar from this one company. There was a lot of different things you can see off to the left. Me standing in front of the event sign for what's there. Some fun Lithuanian humor about don't fucking peg. And this one building was really fun on the airplane. But we met with Invest in Lithuania, which is the foreign direct investment organization here. Also with Vilnius University, there's some interesting technologies that are coming out about mental health and how to support different mental health outcomes that are coming from Vilnius that we'll tell you a little bit more about in the coming weeks. Met with Inga Langdate. I'm going to say that wrong, but she's the CEO of Unicorns at Lithuania. And one of the things that we'll have her on in a future program is they really have really great community interactions about what's happening around the building of unicorns here in Lithuania. What's a unicorn? A company that actually is getting to essentially a net worth of $1 billion or more. And from Kaunas Technology University, in fact, he's on with us today, Dr. Mandugas Bolota. Mandugas, are you still here? Let's do this. I'm going to take off the slides, but do a shout out really quick for the program that you're doing at Kaunas Technology University.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. So I met Kevin just yesterday. Pleasure to be here. So basically, I run innovation office at Kaunas University of Technology. And one thing what we're doing, we support entrepreneurs, and we are running academic incubator. So we provide actually teams with all kinds of support we can, give them. And we are at the very, very beginning of the journey. So our job is, to motivate them, to push them forward, and to, help them to be ready for their first investment. So
when you also mentioned that there's some really impressive technologies that sometimes your innovation group does innovation projects. Tell us a little bit about that as well. So you have not only the entrepreneur support programs, but tell us about the innovation type of projects that you guys will take on as well.
Yeah, so part of the team actually works with companies. It could be actually even corporates, and our job is to find a team at the university which would provide service. in terms of R&D. So yeah, I was telling Kevin that just recently researchers built a device to actually inspect pipelines and prevent some really bad damage if it explodes. We do also all kinds of stuff. We actually did some VR stuff for a museum, for example, here locally. So there are different activities also in food sector. There is a separate division. They work with food technologies. So one spin-off company, they license technology from us, and now there is a product on the market. It's for people with swallowing difficulties, actually, and the technology behind is encapsulation. So basically, you need a small volume of product in order to get all the nutrients of the day you need. So yeah,
like
and there are
you
many
mentioned,
more.
it's nutrition for seniors as an example that don't have large stomachs, not a lot of capable, but you can get in a small volume of lots of nutrients to the patient or the senior.
Yeah. That's true. That's one thing, and of course, defense is another topic. So it's also very important if you are on a mission somewhere in the woods. So that's another thing we are looking at the moment. So defense, it's already for some time a big topic here in Europe. So we are also investigating drones and so on. Actually, there is a team working also on processing all the info on Facebook and all the other social media in order to see what's happening around, including movement of military vehicles and so on. So that's also interesting. It's not about the business at this point, but it's something more useful, actually. Very interesting outcomes. They're running some AI algorithms, and it's quite amazing. I'm not the AI expert, so it's very impressive what they can find in Facebook and all the other social media, which is available basically freely. So yeah.
Yeah, well, certainly it's important given that you have a neighbor that's creating some problems with Ukraine. It makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you. What's the best way for someone to follow up with you if they wanted to connect and gain access to technology conversations? Is there a best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, I guess LinkedIn is the best way, because yeah, you can drop me a line over there, and yeah, I will answer, and we can continue from there. So LinkedIn is the best way.
That sounds great. We'll make sure that for where we post the video, we'll also post it both on YouTube and in the community site, and we'll make sure that there's a link to your LinkedIn. Thank you again for today, and it was great to meet you, and I'm looking forward to having our entrepreneurs and our community back in Austin and around the world to be able to connect into the brilliance that you guys are bringing to the market.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, good to have you. Cool. Well, we'll hop back in a few more slides, and then we're going to hear from our other guest that's here that I'm actually camping out in his office right now. We heard from the Lithuanian Private Equity and Venture Capital Association as well. Part of the idea here is to not only connect entrepreneurs to markets, but make sure that we're connecting in with their investors as well. And so part of it was tying into the PE crowd, the VC crowd. And then we'll hear from a couple other people as well in the coming days, but also our speaker today is one of the local VCs. As well, Rita Sakas, I met her 5 years ago, one of the most active angel investors that was here. And this is her giving a speech at the same conference that we're at right now. And then Kilo Health. This is a really interesting local digital health startup, or actually, I guess I would say a unicorn at this point. I don't think that their offices were so big. The bar that we saw earlier was one small part of their massive building, and pretty impressive about what's happening there. We've already started connections around Kilo Health back into Austin to one of the platforms that are there. But one of the things we'll do is we're going to be looking for a lot of those kind of connections. That's what really I find really exciting about this type of work, is to see how technology that's already figured out different solutions in one part of the world can go solve problems in another part of the world. And everyone that I know knows that, well, I mean, back in the United States, there's some fundamental things that are broken about healthcare there, as well as other parts of the world. And part of what we can do is we can share insight back and forth. So more of that coming soon. But for today, here I'm with, and I mispronounce Lithuanian names, but most of you know that I mispronounce American English names as well. Audrius Milukas. Sorry, I just come on over. The CEO of Open Circle Capital is here with me today. And I'm actually in his office, and I said, I was on a panel with him, and part of what we were actually doing is just to say, you know, really kind of get a perspective for the community, yeah, welcome, first off.
Yes, hi guys, I'm Audrius. Milukas, it's a
Milukas.
difficult name. But...
Well, no, I think it's just me. I'm dyslexic, and then on top of that, I've jet lagged, and we have fourth time to speak for today. So
and also tired as today is like 6 p.m. right now.
Yeah, exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
Already 30 past.
Yeah, at some point right after this, I'm going to go to one of the local Lithuanian bars, have a stiff drink, and then go pass out in the room. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, well, so tell us a little bit about you were a banker before you started the venture capital association, your venture capital funds. Yes. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you're up to, what your investment thesis is.
Cool. So the beginning is 2016-17 when 3 other guys, local and international guys, just asked me to run off the bank and start a VC business. We participated in a tender, a local government tender. We won a tender for 20 million euros, a VC fund, early stage deep tech VC fund. And since then, in 2017, we are now already 6 years in operation, and finished already our investment period is almost over. Some few months left, and we deployed around 84% already of our capital. So this transformation was from the banking to the investment banking and then to venture capital, and I like it very much because this is an exciting place to be.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you can really feel the energy, like even in the last, like you're saying, during the last 5 years of
the
activity,
changed.
It's like it's fundamentally changed.
It's changed dramatically, actually. What we have one fund, one accelerator, something 6 years ago, and actually we started to pitch for our tender 7 years ago, so almost nothing was here. There was no lead band, no association of lead band, there were no accelerators like that. Now we have different community, different size. I think it was, I don't want to lie, small number of startups. Now we have, today remember, more than 1,000 working startups. Wow. Active 800. Looking for the perspective, we love fintech, we love ICT, we love hardware, we have in global energy. So this is totally different ecosystem, and everything is like booming. We had a few great years. 2 years ago it was 400 million euros investment. Last year around 300 million euros invested. Of course, due to this economic cycle, we will have less, I think, this year.
Right, and that's happening across the world. Venture investment has gone down over the last little bit just because of what's been happening generally in the market and stuff like that. But so you mentioned that the fund's thesis is investing in deep tech, and one of the interesting things about a lot of the former Soviet states is there's this really crazy, impressive type of technology that's here. Most people don't know that this country of 3 million people in Lithuania own like 65% of the femto laser market. If you've ever gotten surgery on your eyes, more than likely a femto laser is being used. So deep tech is really cool here. What's some ideas, or what are some of your investments to get a sense?
As you said, this is a historical. We had very deep engineering skills, so we're good at lasers, and there's a bunch of laser companies, so we're good at that. There's also biotech, also very strong, because also there was a institute and then there was a companies in biotech. So in our portfolio, we are more focused on ICT, and we will look for some edge, some space in AI, we call it, early stage AI, machine learning, so applications for different industries, but in AI, for example, travel industry, for example, retail stores that we have, Pixivia, which are AI-driven cashierless stores, autonomous stores in Lithuania, So we're more focused on ICT and more on deep tech, where there's a AI, machine learning, or some privilege of IP that it cannot be copied too fast.
Yeah, it's like really in-depth type of technology. I mean, that's we're not talking about the software as a service companies that do
We have those.
It's good to have a full gambit, but yeah, the nice thing is the deep tech.
Maybe the interesting thing that we're not so picky or so choosy, you cannot, it's not like, 10 million country, and we were country capped, we're Lithuanian based fund, and then you cannot be like choosy, we don't have 10 million of startups coming in.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So, if you see SaaS, you grab a SaaS, you have a good SaaS. What we look for was that it's always a founder with a fighter mentality in a good way. Not crying every day, but fighting, in a good way,
No one likes a whiner.
Yes, yeah, but it's not easy to do the job, it's not easy to compete in all the world, Then the second thing we're looking for, always exports, like outside Lithuania. It has to go outside Lithuania. It has to have scalability inside, and of course, tech product. Not a go-to-market sales strategy, but we need a product. We need a tech product, something that's doing some stuff for you instead of a lot of people doing. For example, AI helps that.
So what are the type of issues that Lithuanian startups are up against? I mean, you said a little bit about that, like, needing to go outside of the market because there's only 3 million people in this market. But what are other issues that Lithuanian startups might be up against?
As we were again together in the conference, this very, very good presentation from Startup Lithuania, Roberta, was that we see that the main issues still are the financing. And by financing, I mean that the funds are 4 times smaller in CE than in Western Europe. It's one, The second is that per capita, we're also behind Estonia or Israel or other countries. We just don't invest too much in the venture capital or in the startups. It's changing, yes, not dramatically, but it's changing with the lead ban coming in, accelerators new are coming in now too. We have early stage funds, we have Practica is having new fund. It's changing. I hope it's going to change, but the funding was number one always. When we received a little bit of funding, then we suddenly understood that we don't have a lot of talent. We need a talent pool. We need people who is going to build something. We need engineers. So when they have engineers with the experience from, best companies, Amazon or somewhere, come here. So then we have a lack of talent. And then we see that all the, teaching system or learning system or school system is outdated. We need to change that too. So,
but that's one of the impressive things is it seems like the industry and government and, all the different components, universities, academia have gotten behind that very fast. Like the transformation has been
we
impressive.
work strongly, now it's like 2.7 GDP is from the unicorn, association members or the startups. Average salary is around 3,500. It's very high salary, a lot of taxes paid, around 300 million taxes paid in Lithuania by companies. So the government is taking really good initiative to support that. But as of today, number third thing was holding up all the startups is government regulatory or legal system, or not new legal system for example, the ESOPs. Now we have some problems with ESOPs and the tax inspection. I don't want to go inside there, but still, some regulatory
So
issues.
there's still issues that have to be worked through, but it seems like that. But in the last 5 years, it seems like there has been like a lot.
Really,
we
made asset share classes. It's also passed the legal and the parliament. Everything is moving to the right direction. Really. But you have to understand it's an early ecosystem. It's still a young ecosystem. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it was nothing here. Now it's already 1,000 and more startups, the ecosystem, lead band, Startup Lithuanian, unicorns. Now it's moving, and I think this is the right place to be right now, despite all the economic cycle.
Well, you on the panel earlier today, one of the things you mentioned was that fintech there's a lot of fintech activity. What happened there? What was it that shifted so quickly?
I look at the statistics before our meeting, and then fintech is all everywhere. Baltic states, Europe. We love fintech. Actually, my opinion is that the banks came early here. The Scandinavian banks came early here and privatized local banks. And we had one time like 5,000 people and young people and older people working in the banks. And the banks, they gave some mentality in financial services. And then the people, the talent went out and they started to do their own fintechs. Is it in KYC? Is it in lending? Is it in insurance? But the fintechs pop up any day, And the first who's coming here in the accelerator, even today we have met, is a fintech.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that, but maybe because of the lack of capital community, gets that. But we want to build fintechs.
Wait, it seems quite interesting too, because I know that part of what played into this as well is when the UK left the EU. What happened during that?
So there was a huge transition. UK was the center of the fintechs, and they had all these electronic money institutions. They all wanted to be in UK, but suddenly when they left, they couldn't do services in Europe. So there was perfect initiative for Lithuanian government to start to be center of fintechs in the Europe. And this is what happened. We had like around more than 200 electronic money institutions licensed and now a Lithuanian bank and working, doing the payments and etc. So this boom what happened. So Lithuania took an advantage of that, and it's very good, And now the talent is coming, international investment is coming, so it's very good. For example, the Kevin deal, Axel put on 65 million euros just last year in Kevin, on 300 valuation. So that was amazing, So things are happening in the right direction with the fintech.
Well, yeah, and that shift, I think, is one of the most impressive things to see, that the government took advantage of the UK deciding that it's going to leave EU, set up the right regulations, and then all of a sudden, all the entrepreneurs around that, it just like totally took advantage of it. That's one of the most impressive things that I've seen out of all the travels of I've gotten to do, because you don't usually see that type of alignment, right? A lot of times, at least in my experience back in the United States of being an entrepreneur, I don't think I've ever gotten that type of support. Not to rag on home too much, but it's interesting to see that type of support.
Historically, we had banks, huge bank privatized by the Swedbank, SEB, and Nordea Bank. As I worked myself there, they came here and they made financial services. But second thing was the service centers, like we have Western Union Center of Services here. We had Barclays, we have Danske Bank service centers. So they're building the talents, and the talents, they see this ecosystem growing, evolving, and they're continuing in the ecosystem, So it's nice shift. And we see that happening, so I very like it.
So let me ask you a couple of questions outside of the realm of just your own venture capital and stuff like that. One of the Austin companies that has a significant, like more than 100 people here, is Bizarre Voice. I don't know if you're familiar with that company.
No, I didn't hear.
All right. Well, so back home, a guy by the name of Brett Hurt started Bizarre Voice. It's one of the bigger startups that became a big company there. It seems like that there are a lot of other organizations around the world that land here to take advantage of the local ecosystem. Can you tell us about that? What you see happening?
Once again, we exited the Soviet Union, not so easy, of course, but we exited the Soviet Union. We joined the EU, we joined NATO, and it was the greatest, I think, achievements of our government. And after then, we still had no capital markets, no huge capital markets. And, the services was here, the very high quality, because the people, the talents are high quality. They speak English, they have good math, they engineers, and etc. But the cost was of the engineers was low, like, I don't want to pretend I know the 5 times or something lower, So that's what put at the international capital to come here and start, service centers here, because you could go to India, but you can go here, you have the same, flight distance closer, costs are pretty much the same. So they chose in Lithuania or Estonia, so they are, service centers. And this is still happening by great work of Vilnius, Invest Lithuania. They're still doing that stuff, Cost of labor, I think, was one of the biggest issues also.
Well, and it's interesting because from my perspective of working with engineers from around the world and outsourcing a lot of things, it does feel like there's a closer, it's not the same culture as, Texas, or I would say American culture, but the truth is there's not one American culture, but it feels closer. It feels closer from a standpoint of just, you can kind of get a sense of the tech talent, and they do what they say they're going to do. And like you said, you called them fighters earlier, right? They're like, they get stuff done, right? That's another
Serial
characteristic.
entrepreneurs, yes.
Yeah, that's another characteristic as well, that I know that a lot of the activity here is bootstrapped as much as, you know, you have to
Exactly.
invest.
Exactly.
Say a little bit about that.
Once again, you know, maybe, you know, somebody will not like my comment, but once again, because of the capital, you know, we had to bootstrap, you know, it, and this part of the, you know, Europe still holds up, like we're still close to Russia, we still, you know, a lot of way to do business. We want to attract investment, we want to syndicate. Of course, the quality comes into play. When I pitch my own portfolio companies to the VC funds in UK, in Europe, they say there's lack of the quality, you know, so there's the chicken and egg game, lack of the quality because we don't have investments, and then we have investments, we'll build up the quality. So, you know, this is what happened, and we just have to bootstrap. We just have to take the not VC money, but we take the client money. And maybe this is the good way.
Well, yeah, I actually personally think it's healthier, right? I was, you know, I call it Silicon Valley porn, in that, you know, it's like, oh wait, I'm supposed to, you know, the entrepreneur spends 6 months not building anything, just trying to get investment, and then a lot of times they don't actually build an underlying
product. It should be a balance.
Yeah, it should be a balance. Yeah, you're right.
Balance, you know, bootstrap, you'd work hard every day, your mood goes off, you know, motivation gets down, etc. You don't bootstrap, it's not for everyone. It's easy. It has to be balanced. I don't think we still reach the balance. The balance is not here. I think, I don't know what now statistics, but a lot of companies, you know, have now one of the problems is that they have raised the early stage from accelerator or early stage VC or angels. They have raised the tickets or the co-investment also fund, Lithuanian government fund. But later on, you know, to go to the Series A, you have to build, according to our statistics, besides you get 500K ticket, you have to attract additionally 2.5 million. Or 2 million additionally, statistically speaking, you know, and it's not so easy, you know, then you cannot get investment because you are localized here. What does the VCs coming from the Western Union say? I want them to relocate. If they see something good, I want them to relocate to my place, to my town. I want them close. I want to drink beer with them. I want to talk about how to conquer the world with them, you know? So our job is to, you know, grow up those small startups to the, you know, to the Series A and show to the Western investors that it's a good company, but there is a gap who is investing that 2 million euros, you know. So, you know, in ecosystem, my wish and my, you know, thinking about, we have to be like very, very like specific that you have in early stage VCs, you have the accelerators, you have incubators, you have angels, but also you have the later stages funds, you know, who can bring the quality additionally, you know, to the startups to raise Series A's. And it has to be infrastructure, it has to be constant and through the years. You know, you cannot stop somewhere and say, oh, we have great startups for 20,000 euros tickets, you know.
Right. It needs to be able to like consistently.
And this is what happened with Estonia, you know, they, you know, this consistency, they have more funds, they have more funding, and this is now we see what is producing, you know. You take a cocktail of hungry people, you know, and do something, you take the tech element and you put a little bit of capital. Okay, how much a little bit? No, I'm talking about billions. I talk about up to 300 million. Okay, 500 million, despite the fact they raised 1.3 billion last year, you know, in Estonia. But I'm thinking this combination, this cocktail can do a boom. Look, 10 unicorns in Estonia, you know, we have 3, you know.
Yeah, 3 here in Lithuania. But it feels like that the environment is just like accelerating so much.
Yes, the hype is here. The hype is here. The movement is here. Bootstrap is here, and I attract the capital. I think what's left, you know, what we need. Of course, there's a talent, but talent you can buy. You know, I can have from Amsterdam. I can have engineers coming here to work, or I can move the engineer department to Amsterdam. So the capital is the real issue. You know, okay, there's a quality. Okay, but then chicken and egg game again. You know, quality. When it's going to happen? Quality. Now try to build up something for 300,000. Go to Google and, you know, compete with somebody on Google AdWords. So pay 10,000 a month. Two people, and you go out, you go out of money, you know. So what we do here, we are heavy on syndication. When we do a deal, we attract another investors. We go with angels. We have 80 angels ecosystem. We go with them. Maybe you want to also invest. We have small tickets. Then we build a board together. You know, we sit down with a startup. We grow them up. So we're heavy in syndication. We can lead. We can co-lead. You can lead. It doesn't matter for us as long as we see a good, startup growing. So we're having syndication because of the lack of the capital too.
Right.
So this is what we're doing here, bootstrapping again.
Yeah, well,
It's
bootstrapping again, it's just like on the investor side.
Yeah, it's on the VC side, exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, so what do you see happening over the next 5 to 10 years in the environment? I mean, with all the acceleration that's happened since I was here in 2018, I'm just wondering what do you see is happening in the next 5, 10 years here?
I wish I could see.
Yeah.
And ask my partners also, we're an international team, and ask my partners, what's the technologies, what our vision is going to change everything, Well, this is all dreams, I think the ecosystem will grow definitely organically because of the people and the hype it's overall.
Yeah, wait, it seems like something is really taking hold,
Yes,
right?
there's a lot of hidden already, small unicorns, already. Somebody can raise, but they're not raising because the valuation too small or maybe something like this. So anyway, it's going to evolve, I believe. The message here is 3x in the quantity of the startups.
Right.
It could be like a real ambition for Lithuania, 1-2 years, maybe 3 years, but 3x grow the ecosystem.
Right.
And then the ecosystem, produces more talents. Why? Because of the talents are leaving from the big unicorns and they're creating their own startups. What this was happening also in Estonia.
I see that there are a lot of Lithuanians that are moving back to Lithuania that for whatever reason had immigrated to someplace else, but they're now coming back as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I met a couple different people earlier today at a conference.
It's a lot coming back.
Yeah.
We have Global Lithuanian Leaders Club and etc. They're coming back and they're creating new startups, looking for ideas. That some companies coming back and secretly from 3Fs for pulling 1.5 million euros, already happening some startups.
Yeah.
So they're coming back, and I think this hype will continue because it's a magical thing to have a startup, and if it's successful, it's already a crazy thing.
Yeah, I know.
Of course, we have failing. We have
scar tissue is part of it, though. So that's part of
we
it.
live in a loss.
Yeah.
Fail fast.
Yeah. Well, so if someone out there wanted to learn about the portfolio, it's Open Circle, but what's the website so they could actually
opencirclecapital.lt. It's simple, accessible. All the companies are in the portfolio here. Just once again to understand, it's an early stage VC.
Yeah, early stage, right.
We are doing.
You're a discovery fund, right?
Discovery fund. We did early stages. We invest up to from 100 to 300 at the first ticket. Then we grew up some companies. We have some leaders like Bill is working in US. It's a marketplace for video apps. And then we have Photograph Marketing Reporting. Also, they're already big companies. So we grew them like from 30,000 in MRR. We grew them to 300 or more MRR. So,
beautiful.
Yeah. So, but some companies also stuck. They didn't grow. So what can we do? Life happens.
Right.
So you will not find anything shiny on the website and every one of unicorns there.
Well, but part of it is this is my career as well has usually been that early birthing stage, right? It's like it is messy. It takes discipline. But
Exactly.
Part of it is if you don't have that, you will never have this. So I think it's a beautiful thing. Let me do this. So I am not able to see the streams today because I don't have my other monitors to monitor the LinkedIn stream and the Facebook stream. But I'm wondering if anyone in the studio audience has a question, raise your digital hand and we can do that, as well as or I can read the chats. I've pulled them out of one of their partner meetings. So at some point soon, I'm going to let them get back into that because of everything. But I'm just wondering if we have any questions, we'll take, I'm going to ask one more question, but I thought that I would actually just see that if anyone does to give us the signal. And Jello, if you have some that are happening on the streams, please let me know by doing a little chat. So what would you like to see from the standpoint of the community at large that's there, right? I mean, we have entrepreneurs and investors from around the world that will see this. They'll either hear the podcast or that. Is there anything that I mean, you mentioned earlier, right? So funds that are.
Is there anything
that's funny. I don't know why Siri always wants to do that, but that's quite interesting.
So maybe one point for me to investors not be afraid and to look at where's the Lithuania or Baltics on the map. We call also, it's called like New Nordics. So because we are already adding a Nordic Nordic countries, the future. That we're growing. We're still hungry. We still want to develop. And lots of US or international investors are afraid of us because we are some corner on the east corner of Europe. So I'm telling to once again, everyone, we are NATO, we are in the European Union, we are now legislation is fully European Union, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a good place to start business.
It was interesting because earlier today at the hotel, there were American, U.S. Army officers in the hotel, like eating breakfast at the same place. Where a lot of people wouldn't imagine. I was surprised. I actually originally thought they were Lithuanian soldiers. No, they were U.S. Army soldiers.
Yes, exactly.
Here. So it's like there's a lot of integration that's already happening.
Yes, we have a lot of those. Like, could be more, of course, but we happy for that. So I encourage you to try look where we're on the map, and you still a lot of undervalued companies and a lot of undervalued, businesses who already work in US.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a
when that's for the Lithuanian startups that hear the other side of this talk. I know I owe at least 5 people follow-ups, and it's just been too crazy. Today's schedule has been too crazy. So one of our entrepreneurs back in Central Texas, Denise Kern, has her hand. She actually runs, she manages one of the nonprofit as well behind TechCrunch. Let me actually ask Denise, what's your question?
My question is, I heard him mention education is behind the scenes and are behind the curve in all of that. What kind of startups have you financed, or how have you worked with educators that are entrepreneurs and trying to do a startup and getting them R&D funding and startup funds?
Good question. We don't have a tech in our portfolio. However, when we started to invest, there was not a lot of edtech, but now I think even Kevin even met some edtech, good edtechs now. It's coming. What we do with the tech transfer, we look for the hidden, I can say, technologies in universities and try to commercialize it. So this is what we do. And from the learning or learning the schools and etc. point of view, so we still feel that there is a lack of entrepreneurship and lack of talent, for example, for ICT and etc. There's a huge demand for ICT specialists still. Of course, we have those ICT specialists. They are now highly paid, but if would be more produced internet communication of software developers, engineers, specialists, it would be better for us. You can hire more, you can do more. And edtechs, we have quite good ones. If you would like, I can do an intro to them. I don't have them in portfolio, but certainly I know them in our ecosystem.
I guess what I'm most interested in is how you teach the people that you're trying to, like the budding entrepreneurs that are at the universities. How do you mine that talent, and how do you teach them, and how do you get universities on board to support that through internships or startup capital, scholarships, grants, something, so that maybe they get their education paid for if they're going to go ahead and learn this trade, that kind of stuff. That's what I'm looking for.
So we have the employment, government employment initiatives. For example, the Turing College startup who we are working with has money or the lack of they have money paying for just changing their profession. For example, if you're now a hairdresser, but you go and learn to do the databases, analytics or on machine learning, they pay you scholarship. I remember the name. They pay you scholarship. So we have this initiative. It's very, very, very good and very important. Me, myself, I'm glad that I have to coach only the ones who want to learn and who are hungry for learning, because you cannot teach everyone and you cannot go and teach the masses, etc. So our work is to find entrepreneurs who have the idea. Perfectly, it will be that they have an MVP or first revenue is already great stuff, but MVP is already good to start talking with. And for example, we have one startup in AI, Perfection AI it's called, and they were doing the technology model all over the 3 years. And we took them here in all those like years by the hand. We supported them. Besides the fact it was very difficult, etc. But we do that professional way. We do that with the boards. We attract the board members from the like these companies, like the same, to teach them, and etc. etc. So it's more how to say, more proven way. We don't go to masses. But you can check Turing College. They having now around I think 80 million euros of program they want to do for changing the profession to the simple, hairdresser, to the database analytics, and etc.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that again, that's another place that I see government, academia, and the entrepreneurial community really tying things together.
The government hears us, government hears us, and I thank you very much for the government. Of course, we can always do better, but
well, perhaps you can talk to our government too. I mean, that'd be great. Sorry,
too many governments.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying. I mean, I'd like to see advocates for that. Let me ask: we have time for one more question, whether it's from Denise or anyone else? I'm sorry for those of you all that I'm not able to follow on the streams right now, but if there is, we can go ahead or we can start wrapping up. I guess, why don't we do that? Any last thoughts you'd like to say? Just, request otherwise to the community. It's interesting. So Paulina just said this has been very insightful. Thank you. So yeah.
No, I'm just glad that you came, came anytime, we call it open circle capital as we opened, as we attract people, we do syndication, we're open to the deals, we're open to the deals with that didn't make, we can show you the deal. So if interesting in ecosystem like here, connect me on LinkedIn or write me a message and I'll always be there for you.
That sounds perfect. Well, we'll make sure that a link to your LinkedIn is posted in the show notes.
Yes, and my email on my website, opencirclecapital.lt. It's not .com, maybe it's going to be difficult for you.
Yeah, no.
LT.
Yeah, LT is the Lithuanian domain. So,
and you can have all my contacts there, and you can approach us. And if you need anything, we will always help.
Yeah,
like it's easy.
And part of the work that TechRanch will be doing is we're really focusing on how to build a venture bridge to this part of the world, because there's such talent and such deep tech, right? Like we were talking about.
Yes,
there's just
it's
quite interesting about what's been there. So
yeah, you should come here, visit more. What we do with the Swedish VCs or Finnish VCs. They come here. We gather the ecosystem of 10 startups. We show what they're building. If you want to go in the fintech, you want to go in cybersecurity or something, we gather those.
There's activities in clean energy as well. Like I heard about a new battery company. I heard about technology and electric vehicles as well. So yeah, a lot of different areas.
Just like link me a note and I will connect you with whatever you like.
That sounds great. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today. Especially I was like earlier, I was like, oh, you're perfect for telling the story about what we're doing. So thank you for hosting us. And I look forward to definitely following up with you and seeing more activity happening between Texas and Lithuania and the world. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you once again.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, so we'll start to wrap up over here. It's time for me to go back to the hotel and pass out. Again, let's see, as I bring this up, let me just go ahead and share that. Thank you again, Audrius, and we'll make sure that we follow up with you, and I appreciate the time together. Thank you for hosting us here at your office, especially stepping out of a deal room.
You're welcome.
But what we'll do is, if you have any questions, if you want to get involved in the community, make it a point to go to techranch.com/connect. On that site, there's a place to sign into our community. To be a part of our community starts at free, so there's no reason to avoid getting involved in the community. We just launched a new version of a new community site called Circle, so please take advantage of it. You can also, if you want to get involved in our country manager program, there's details about it there. There's also, if you are an entrepreneur that have scar tissue to donate to other entrepreneurs, sign up as one of our mentors as well. We have a whole process. We don't just take everyone on the mentor program. We actually have a training process to really prepare you for that. But with that, we'll start to take things to the close. It's always my honor to be a part of a community of entrepreneurs driven by vision and values. Let's go change the world for the better together. So signing out from Vilnius, Lithuania. We'll see you back in Austin this next week. Y'all take care. Have a great week.